we apologize for the technical hiccup. We give you the headlines once again. Church sounds alarm over silent persecution of Christians. Defense Minister vows tougher security measures for health workers after murder of Queen Elizabeth Central Hospital doctor. State defends key evidence in Dr. Victoria Bobby murder trial. And in our exclusive report this week, Gift Kalonga examines whether 62 years of independence for Malawi have translated into meaningful socio-economic growth and improved livelihoods for its citizens. And straight to our first story. Christians remains the world's most persecuted religious community, with about 388 million Christians, roughly 1 in 7 worldwide, facing persecution or discrimination for their faith in 2025. A report by Open Doors estimates that around 5,000 Christians were killed, averaging 13 deaths a day amid religious intolerance, conflict, political instability, and ideological extremism. Rome report, read by Tandiwe Mzumara.
Addressing the United Nations in Geneva, observer of the Holy See, Archbishop Ettore Balestrero, said these statistics represent far more than numbers, as behind every case are individuals, families, and communities whose lives have been profoundly affected. He also warned of what he described as polite persecution, a less visible but equally concerning form of discrimination that gradually restricts the public expression of religious belief. According to Archbishop Balestrero, this silent form of persecution slowly shrinks the space for people to live out and publicly express their faith, eventually suffocating religious freedom without the use of physical violence. He pointed to examples such as individuals being detained for praying silently near abortion clinics, or teachers facing disciplinary action for reading the gospel to students or expressing Christian moral teachings. He argued that in such cases, people may not be imprisoned or tortured, but their voices are silenced and they face social and professional exclusion because of their beliefs. Archbishop Balestrero further argued that governments and political institutions have a responsibility to safeguard religious freedom. He has criticized what he described as a contradiction in modern human rights discourse, saying that while many advocate for inclusion, those who openly profess Christian beliefs are sometimes excluded when their views differ from prevailing social or political opinions. Beyond acts of physical violence, the challenges faced by Christians can also include restrictions on access to public services, obstacles to establishing schools and religious institutions, and limitations on publicly expressing or practicing their faith.
Minister of Defense Feston Kaupa has reaffirmed the government's commitment to enhancing security for healthcare workers across the country as investigations into the murder of Queen Elizabeth Central Hospital medical doctor, Dr. Twanire Chomo, continue. Presenting a ministerial statement in Parliament on Friday, Kaupa said the government is treating the case with the utmost seriousness and is determined to ensure justice is served. Patrick Pupa reports.
Kaupa commended the Malawi Police Service for its swift response and the progress made in the investigation, which has resulted in the arrest of one suspect. He told Parliament that the government will continue working closely with law enforcement agencies and other stakeholders to strengthen measures aimed at protecting healthcare professionals whose services are critical to the country's health system.
Through the Malawi Police Service, it is the tradition within the Malawi Police Service that those that perform outstanding responsibilities, functions and deliverables, they are rewarded through the standing procedures of rewarding exceptional performance within the Malawi Police Service. So this is not an exception. Through the Minister and the Minister of Homeland Security, we will make efforts and will endeavor that the speedy investigations that have been undertaken to identify the suspect arrest the suspect, those that have done this excellent job are rewarded accordingly. This is our standard practice within the Malawi Police Service, and not only within the Malawi Police Service, but generally within the public service. Those that do outstanding work, they are rewarded accordingly. So again, in this case, those that have done this exceptional work of arresting the suspect.
Meanwhile, Zomba Malosa Member of Parliament Grace Kwelepeta has called on the government to introduce stiffer penalties for those convicted of murdering doctors and other healthcare workers, warning that the rising attacks on medical personnel threaten healthcare delivery and urging authorities to impose harsh punishments to deter future crimes.
Urging Parliament that we should revisit the laws because, as we know, for government to train a medical doctor or any person of a special field, it takes a lot of time and again resources and money. And for these people to be losing their lives just because somebody wanted to rob them, it's very tough for a country and we cannot progress with that. So I wanted that if Parliament could come up with stiffer laws so that whenever these people are arrested, they should not even wait the court should not waste time trying to, or maybe people defending them in court or whatever. The law should just apply.
Dr. Atunganile Chomo, a medical doctor at Queen Elizabeth Central Hospital, was found dead on July 7, 2026, and the Malawi Police Service has since arrested Macmillan Mvivula in connection with the case, while investigations remain ongoing.
Minister of Transport and Public Works, Japi Muhango, says government is accelerating road infrastructure development through innovative financing models aimed at improving the country's road network. Muhango made the remarks in an interview after proceedings in Parliament, saying the new funding approach will ensure critical road rehabilitation and construction projects continue despite financial constraints. Judith Organ has filed a report read by Charity Chilanga.
Muhango said the rehabilitation works on the M1 road between Lilongwe and Blantyre are already underway, with 23 contractors currently on site. He said the financing model will also be used to implement other key projects, including the M10 road from Golomoti to Monkibe, the Chitipa-Iromba road, and the Chiweta-Kalunga road. He said the new approach marks a shift from previous years, when inadequate funding delayed road maintenance, adding that government is partnering with financial institutions to mobilize resources and fast-track road projects across the country.
That was not being collected. And as a result, all our roads suffered significant damage because of lack of proper maintenance. Currently, we are now collecting through the APM. We have resources. That's why you will note that we have commenced major rehabilitation on the M1 Bunetenof going to Blantyre.
Meanwhile, speaking in his capacity as leader of government business in Parliament, Muhango said lawmakers are expected to consider several key government statements and reports next week, including an update on the country's response to the El Nino phenomenon as government continues implementing its development agenda.
The National Advocacy Platform, NAP, has called on Parliament to prioritize issues directly affecting Malawians, including the high cost of living, foreign exchange shortages, the Affordable Inputs Program, AIP, and the controversial Amaris Hotel deal during the ongoing 52nd sitting of Parliament. Speaking in an interview with Luntha television on Friday, NAP chairperson Benedicto Kondowe said the parliamentary meeting, which is expected to conclude on 31st July 2026, provides an opportunity for lawmakers to address the country's pressing socio-economic challenges. Emmanuel Chuocha reports.
Kondowe said members of parliament were elected to represent the interest of citizens and should therefore focus on debating and resolving issues that have direct impact on the people's daily lives, rather than pursuing matters of lesser public importance. He further urged Parliament to strengthen oversight and accountability by ensuring transparency in management of public resources. He stressed that issues such as Amaryllis Hotel deal deserve thorough scrutiny to promote public trust and good governance. According to Kondowe, Parliament should also address the persistent foreign exchange shortages and ensure the timely implementation of the Affordable Inputs Program, saying these issues have significant implications for businesses, food security, and overall economy.
Key in the statement is that the inquiry must come to its conclusion because it involves taxpayers' money, especially those who are financing the inquiry. But most importantly, it is also about protecting the interests of pensioners.
As the parliamentary sitting continues, NAP has appealed to lawmakers to rise above politics' interest and work collectively towards delivering practical solutions that improve the lives of Malawians. The organization says the decision made during this session will be closely watched by citizens who expect Parliament to respond to the country's most urgent challenges. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, this is Emmanuel Giwocha.
The Center for Democracy and Economic Development Initiatives, CDED, has called for a forensic audit of Beam Trust covering the periods of 2014 to 2020 and 2025 to June 2026, following concerns raised in a recent investigative article by the Platform for Investigative Journalism, PIJ. Speaking during a press briefing in Lilongwe, CDED Executive Director Sylvester Namiwa said the article titled "The Beam Cash Cow is Back. Now Look Who is Paying for It" raises questions about the trust operations and the return of some high-profile benefactors during its relaunch. Namiwa questioned whether some of the individuals behind the donations expect favors from those in power or any form of preferential treatment in exchange for their generosity. Namiwa has also challenged the Anti-Corruption Bureau, ACB, to investigate the 17.79 billion kwacha reportedly raised by Beam Trust within hours of its relaunch, including contributions from various companies and individuals. Here is part of what Namiwa said.
Because at every given opportunity, President Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika has been unapologetic in as far as the fight against corruption is concerned. Now, it is strange that the First Lady's trust is going to bed with business people that are questionable. They are, in fact, some of them are on the radar of Interpol on serious matters of money laundering, corruption, and fraud. So we want the First Lady to come out in the open, because just like the presidency, the office of the First Lady is a public office. Therefore, it is not immune to scrutiny and accountability. Therefore, she should come out in the open to reaffirm her commitment towards helping the president in the fight against corruption.
If you have just joined us, know that you are watching news on Luntha Television. Now a reminder of the top stories. Church sounds alarm over silent persecution of Christians. Defense Minister vows tougher security measures for health workers after murder of Queen Elizabeth Central Hospital doctor. State defends key evidence in Dr. Victoria Bobby murder trial. And in our exclusive report this week, Gift Kalonga examines whether 62 years of independence for Malawi have translated into meaningful socio-economic growth and improved livelihood for its citizens. And continuing with the news, the lead police investigator in the murder trial of Dr. Victoria Bobby on Friday, defended video recordings and written transcripts after the defense challenged their authenticity during proceedings at the High Court in Blantyre. Speaking after proceedings, Principal State Advocate Abdul Limbe noted that the witness responded effectively to the defense questions. Costas Kantemene reports.
Limbe said after the state presented the witness's account of how the murder was allegedly committed, the defense used its cross-examination to question the authenticity of the videos and written transcripts presented as evidence in court. He said Assistant Superintendent Christopher Banget, who led the police investigation to the case, answered the defense's question clearly. Limbe added that when the trial resumes, the state will have a chance to ask the witness more questions to clarify any issues raised before calling another witness.
You can remember a day before yesterday, we had the state parading a witness who had given the full story of how the offense was committed, and that was the examination in chief. Now, after the full story was laid before the court, now it was the time for the defense now to punch holes as to the truth of the evidence that the witness had given. In that way, they had to question the authenticity of the documents that have been tendered, like the videos and the transcript. So the defense centered on questioning the witness as to the authenticity of the video as well as the transcript.
The murder trial of Dr. Victoria Bobby continues before the High Court in Blantyre. The state is expected to re-examine its witness before calling more witnesses as the case continues. For Luntha News, this is Costas Kamtemin.
The Technical, Entrepreneurial and Vocational Education and Training Authority, TVETA, has commended Source Children's Villages, Malawi, for complementing government efforts in increasing access to technical and vocational skills training among vulnerable young women. TVETA Regional Service Center Manager Joseph Chikopa made the remarks during the graduation of 49 young women under the Young Women Technical Skills Empowerment Project, describing the initiative as a significant step towards promoting female participation in technical education and skills development. Charity Chilanga reports.
Chikupa said the project has contributed to a notable increase in the number of young women enrolling in technical, entrepreneur and vocational education and training TVET, saying the partnership between SOS Children's Villages Malawi and government is helping equip vulnerable young women with practical skills for self-reliance. He further said TVETA remains committed to supporting vulnerable learners through bursary schemes and scholarships, particularly for female students pursuing hard skills, to ensure more young women have access to technical education.
The initiative is very commendable because through this project we have seen an increase in the number of females participating in TVET. Therefore, I'd like to thank SOS to the Villages Malawi for coming up with this initiative in partnership with government in the provision of skills development.
Project manager for the Young Women Technical Skills Empowerment Project and principal of the SOS Vocational Training Center, Macklin Pio, says 80% of the project's graduates are now running their own businesses, surpassing the initial self-employment target of 70%. A success she attributes to the provision of a start-up equipment that enables beneficiaries to establish businesses immediately instead of waiting for limited employment opportunities.
The project has been very successful. We are exceeding the targets that we have set. So we target to have 70% of our graduates self-employed and 30% in employment, and the results we have gotten so far are beyond those targets, such that we have about 80%, over 80% of our young women in their own business.
Speaking on behalf of the graduates, Doreen Jamali from Munchisi, who completed a food production course, said the training has transformed her life and inspired her to establish a successful restaurant. Speaking on behalf of the graduates, Doreen Jamali from Munchisi, who completed a food production course, said the training has transformed her life and inspired her to establish a successful restaurant business that will create employment opportunities for others.
I accept to establish a strong restaurant business that will not only help me become self-reliant, but also create employment opportunities for other people. I also want to use my success to support those who are less privileged and unable to support themselves. Before receiving training in food production, I was surviving through small-scale businesses, mainly selling tomatoes and sometimes kaunchika. But the skills I've acquired have given me hope and a better opportunity to improve my life.
Meanwhile, 25 of the graduates will receive startup equipment worth 30 million kwacha based on their performance during the training. Launched in May 2022, the Young Women Technical Skills Empowerment Project seeks to empower 360 vulnerable young women with technical and vocational skills in horticulture, tailoring and fashion design, hairdressing and beauty therapy, and food production to enhance their financial independence.
Every year in July, Malawi celebrates its independence. This year, the country marks 62 years of self-rule and national progress. However, despite these annual celebrations, many Malawians continue to face persistent challenges that have become part of their daily lives, including limited access to quality health care and education, food insecurity, economic hardships, corruption, and social injustices. These challenges raise questions about whether independence has truly translated into meaningful improvement in the lives of ordinary citizens. In our exclusive report this week, Gift Kalonga examines whether 62 years of independence have translated into meaningful socio-economic growth and improved livelihoods for Malawian citizens.
Malawi gained independence from British colonial rule on 6 July 1964, raising hopes for democracy, development, and better living standards. As the nation marks its 62nd independence anniversary, it celebrates progress while reflecting ongoing challenges such as economic hardships, unemployment, corruption, and limited access to quality health care and education. According to economic expert Chris Mbukwa, said Malawi's political independence has not translated into the expected economic prosperity, citing poverty, weak health care, and low agricultural productivity as major challenges. He identified agriculture, tourism, mining, and manufacturing as sectors with potential to transform the economy if properly invested in, while emphasizing the need for quality education to build skilled workforce.
Since independence, we did indeed achieve political independence. However, one of the promises of independence was that an associated or attendant political economic prosperity was going to accompany the political independence. So on the political front, we moved, but we have barely moved on the economic prosperity as a nation.
On his part, agriculture expert Renard Chimwaza said Malawi has made progress in agriculture since independence, but low productivity and food insecurity remain major challenges. He said true independence requires the country to produce enough food for its population.
But even if we are independent, what we haven't achieved prudently as a country is on agricultural productivity. We are still producing little as compared to the potential yields which farmers are supposed to get per unit area.
Education expert Benedicto Kondowe said Malawi has made progress in expanding access to education since independence, with increased enrollment at all levels and growth in higher education institutions. He noted that the rise from 1 university to 6 universities is a major achievement. However, Kondowe called for more investment in infrastructure, teacher welfare, and skill-based learning to prepare young people for employment and innovation.
Since independence as a nation, the positive gains we have made so far is in terms of expanding access to education, especially if you look at increased numbers of learners who are going to school, both at primary as well as secondary, but also the expansion in university education. Because previously we used to have 1 university, currently we have 6 universities.
On health care, health expert George Jobe said Malawi has made progress in addressing health care worker shortages, but more efforts are needed to ensure hospitals and health centers are adequately staffed. He noted that some trained health workers remain unemployed despite existing gaps in the health sector.
It is very important as we celebrate more years of our independence to be indeed reflecting on some of the challenges affecting the health sector.
Governance expert George Jaima said while Malawi has achieved major governance milestones since independence by maintaining democratic space, the country still faces economic and social challenges due to weak policy implementation. He called for stronger transparency, accountability, and improved public service delivery to promote national development.
That we have created. But you would agree with me that although we are in a democratic culture with so many policies made, our policies remain, underutilized. So the reform that is there could be probably in the way we implement our policies.
Malawi's 62 years of independence have been a mixed journey of progress and challenges. This year's celebrations were marked by the absence of major government commemoration event as authorities cited the need for fiscal discipline amid economic hardships. For Malawi's prosperity dream to be achieved, patriotism and collective effort from all citizens are needed. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, this is Gift Kalonga.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we are participating in this Independence Day.
Thank you so much, Gift Kalonga, for the detailed report. And now, Charity Mapondo is here with the weather update.
Welcome to today's weather update. It felt very cold over some areas such as Malingunde, Mzuzu, Shidedze, as well as Kia, and have reported a minimum temperature of about 9 degrees Celsius, but Bolelo and Dedza have reported about 11 degrees Celsius. Tonight and tomorrow morning, expect occasionally windy and cold to cold conditions to persist over some areas. During the day, expect partly cloudy and warm conditions over most parts of our country. Looking at the weather system, moist easterly airflow from the Indian Ocean is still influencing weather over our country. As such, expect occasionally windy and partly cloudy conditions over the northern, central, as well as southern parts of our country. Tomorrow morning, it will feel very cold over some areas, and Mzuzu is expected to reach a minimum temperature of about 12 degrees Celsius, 9 over Lilongwe and Dedza, but Blantyre will reach about 14 degrees Celsius. Later, expect occasionally windy and partly cloudy conditions with a chance of isolated rain showers, mainly over some lakeshore areas. In the afternoon, expect warm conditions to persist over most parts of our country, such as Mzuzu, Lilongwe, as well as Blantyre, but it will feel hot over Gabu, Mangochi, as well as Karonga. Later in the afternoon, expect occasionally windy and partly cloudy conditions over the southern, central, as well as northern parts of our country. But on Sunday, similar conditions are expected to persist over most parts of our country, whereby partly cloudy and warm conditions are anticipated over most parts of our country, especially during the day. Thanks for watching. I'm Charity Mapondo. Be wise, be weather-wise.
That marks the end of our bulletin, but before we go, the headlines once again. Church sounds alarm over silent persecution of Christians. Defense Minister vows tougher security measures for health workers after murder of Queen Elizabeth Central Hospital doctor. State defends key evidence in Dr. Victoria Bobby murder trial. And in our exclusive report this week, Gift Kalonga examines whether 62 years of independence for Malawi have translated into meaningful socio-economic growth and improved livelihood for its citizens. I am Robert Kalindiza. Continue enjoying the rest of our programs here on Luntha Television.